What's up, Colorado? Good morning.
He has to get it together off the field, not just on the field, off the field. That's it.
Today, we've got a lot to cover. Several great news stories, so we're going to make like a bullet and jam. Our lead story today is from a recent interview where Coach Prime was asked about his thoughts on Saturday Night Live's impression of him. For anybody who's waking up from a coma, Keenan Thompson recently did an impression of Coach Prime on SNL. Something that I love about Coach Prime is you never have to worry about where he stands on an issue. Unlike a lot of coaches who will lull you to sleep with their boring lies, Deion Sanders makes like a cowboy and shoots straight. He is going to be brutally honest, whether you like it or not. He is not going to sugarcoat things. He's going to gasoline coat things. So grab you a cappuccino, sit back, and get ready because today we're going to talk about Coach Prime dropping some truth bombs. Our first story that we're going to talk about has to do with what Coach Prime thought about Keenan Thompson of SNL doing his impersonation. But before we get to that, make sure you stick around later because you're going to find out what Coach Prime thought about the Michigan head coach spying allegations. Let's listen to that clip.
Has done the best
I'm a
parody
fan
over
of-
the course of your career.
I'm a fan of Keenan. Let's just get that straight. I love him. I love what he's brought to comedy over got to be over a couple decades now. It seems as though. I had the pleasure and the honor to host Saturday Night Live before, and I will never forget those moments. But it was good. The person who I think has me down the most is what's his name? That's a good one. That's a good one. No, I was thinking between these two guys, but I got to give it to Lou Young.
Look, guys, we told you a few episodes ago that Coach Prime was going to like this impersonation. You can go back and check the receipts. If there is one thing that Coach Prime knows, it's that it doesn't matter how you really feel about someone cracking jokes on you. You always respond positively. Because if you get upset, you're going to get it 100 times worse. Comedians go for the throat. But in this instance, we knew that Coach Prime enjoyed it. We know because we enjoyed it. And based on what we've heard from you guys, a lot of you did too. A lot of people got upset or offended and, oh, I can't believe they're making fun of Coach Prime and how could they do this? Guys, it was innocent fun. And we enjoyed it. A lot of you enjoyed it because you understand that being lighthearted and humor is a good way to cope with things that are going wrong or hard times. And thankfully, Coach Prime enjoyed it as well. Next up, we're going to talk about what Coach Prime thought about the Michigan coach, Jim Harbaugh, stealing signs. Let's listen.
I don't know how accurate that stuff is.
But what are your thoughts?
I mean, everyone's trying to get an edge. I mean, everyone's trying to get whatever edge they can. You could have someone's whole game plan. They could mail it to you. You still got to stop it. So in football, it's not as pronounced as baseball. If I know a curveball is coming, I got you. You know, with football, I don't give a darn if you know a sweep is coming. You still got to stop it. Physically, it's a physical game. You got to stop it. So that's a little tough. I don't buy into a lot of that stuff that someone's stealing this, stealing that. I don't buy into a lot of that stuff. You still got to play the game. Back in our glory days with San Francisco as well as the Cowboys, you know darn well Emmitt Smith is getting the ball. You know darn well Mike Irvin is running the comeback. You know darn well Jay Novacek is going to do what he's going to do, and you couldn't stop it. It is what it is. Stop it.
So this isn't the first time the press has tried to bait Coach Prime into trash talking another coach. You remember when they first tried to bait him in to trash talking the Colorado State coach? You remember when they tried to bait him into talking trash about the Oregon coach because other teams gave them the scouting details on Colorado? He didn't fall for it then, and he didn't fall for it now. Everyone is trying to steal everyone's signs. Everyone is sharing information. Football is a cutthroat game. Hook or crook, when you have 300-pound badasses lining up and going to war every play, you're going to do whatever it takes to get an upper hand. Now, the NCAA can waste their time and slap Michigan on the wrist, but you darn well believe that everyone else is doing it too. Next, we're going to talk about what Coach Prime thinks about this season so far. Hear those thoughts.
My expectations are lofty. So you know darn well how the season's going with my expectations. It depends on your expectation. You can't mix my expectation and your expectation because they don't coincide. So you know what mine are. I know where I feel like we should be record-wise, and I know what we can accomplish. I just want to put it all together one game and give it to you and display it.
How has the season gone compared to your expectations? Well, Coach Prime hates it. Now, as a Buffalo fan, we already have 3 times as many wins as we had last year. We've already essentially won the season. Anything else is just pouring more icing on top of this gigantic cake. As a Prime fan, I want you to know that this man is never going to rest until he's holding up a national championship trophy. And you better believe he's coming for it. Now, in our eyes, 1 win to 4 wins, maybe add a couple more, maybe make a bowl, maybe get to 6, 7, 8, we'd be thrilled. Coach Prime knows what this team should have been able to accomplish, and he demands excellence. It's one of the things we love about him. He didn't become a Hall of Famer. He didn't become an All-American. He didn't become an NFL All-Pro or have his bust in Canton because he demanded anything less than excellence. And that is what will ultimately drive his team and drive the success of Colorado as a football program. Next up, we're going to talk about what Coach Prime thought was the biggest thing that stuck out about the Stanford game and the season. Let's listen in.
What did you see from your perspective?
Penalties. Self-inflicted penalties. But we did a whole synopsis over penalties for the whole season, each game, breakdown by game, breakdown. What are the most penalized groups? What are the least penalized groups? What are the penalties? What do they consist of? Are they before the whistle, after the whistle type of penalties? So we know all of that. So we have addressed all of that and addressed the individuals that are consistently being penalized, and how we're going to improve that here on. We've addressed it tremendously, and you should see a tremendous improvement this Saturday.
The biggest thing that stuck out about the Stanford game to him was penalties. Now, unlike me, Coach Prime is not petty or stupid, but we all have our lot in life. He's not going to tell you how terrible the Pac-12 refs were, but I will. He's not going to tell you that they stole that game from us, but I will. He's not going to make excuses for the dumb plays that our players made, and neither will I. But there are several legit boneheaded calls during that game, but not nearly enough of them to lead to a 29-point comeback. No, good sir. That took the hard work of some bona fide, Kentucky Fried, biased referees. Next up, we're going to talk about what Coach Prime thinks of Colorado's new 4-star quarterback recruit, Antoine Hill Jr. Let's listen.
Comes to recruiting a class.
Well, quarterbacks, everything. You look at college football right now, and you look at the consistent quarterbacks, and you'll see consistency in the records. And you look at even the Pac-12. You look at the quarterbacks. All the teams that are winning the most, that have been together for a multitude of years, not just the first year in a team like us, but they have a consistency at quarterback. And that's tremendous. So you want to get a young guy in that could preferably learn from your stud, so he could emulate and imitate that and go on and carry us to places that we hadn't gone before. But that kid is tremendous. Mother and father's tremendous. His family raised with love and respect, and a very admirable kid. I can't wait to get him in-house, and let's get to work with him. He's gonna change the game in several aspects.
Now, we told you how big this was just the other day, and now we know how special this kid really is. The kid is a program changer, and we have no doubt that Coach Prime will walk into Alabama and Georgia's backyard and fill his pockets up with their recruits. While Nick Saban is chit-chatting with the talking goat from the Aflac commercials, Coach Prime was in the background creeping on his recruits. Now, next up, we're going to talk about what Deion Sanders thinks about coaching against former NFL star linebacker Ken Norton in the UCLA game. Let's listen.
Out those linebackers.
Well, it's phenomenal. I mean, that defense that they feature is a pretty darn good unit, especially statistically. But it starts with the front four and that linebacker core. They get to the ball. They play just like their coach. They really do. So I'm proud of Ken. I played with him for a year. He was phenomenal. He was one of the best. He and Plummer, other linebacker, that year. And I just have fond memories. I don't know why he's not a head coach. I don't know if he's been given the opportunity, but I know he's been a coordinator before. I know he's been a myriad of things. To me, Ken Norton should be a head coach somewhere. He should.
That sounded a lot like Coach Prime leaving his options open. Nah, I'm just kidding. I'm sure you have nothing to worry about, Coach Kelly. All right, last up today, we're going to talk about what Coach Prime thinks about offensive tackle Savion Washington. Let's take a listen.
That kid is tough mentally, physically. He's a dog. He's a future pro. He's one of the kids. I love all of them, but he's one of the kids I'm very fond of, and I love his story, and I just love what he represents for us. He wants to play. The time that he was injured and he had to leave the game, I mean, he was sobbing because he wanted it that bad. That I detected love in his heart and his mind and his spirit that particular game that he couldn't go any farther. But he's a dog, man. I can't wait to see him back. Helps us tremendously on the line.
Remember when Coach Prime went on his rant talking about wanting players and coaches and staff that loved the game the way that he loves the game? Well, I think Savion is probably as close to one of those guys as he possibly could be. Yesterday, we covered what Savion Washington's return meant to the team. We also talked about the insane start time that the Oregon State game just got. If you missed any of that, do me a favor and click right here to check it out. Thank you guys, as always, for watching the Prime Time for College Football.